All right, what's going on, guys? Huddle Up Podcast. We're back. Episode 9, I believe. I got Hayden with me, of course, the LA Demon. Great time to be a LA Demon right now. So we never got our Super Bowl picks out, so we're gonna do that today. Talk about that. Talk about what we think in terms of those teams and that matchup. We also never, because of the Luka trade and some other just stuff going on behind the scenes, we never got out our conference championship recap. So we're going to hit on that first, and then maybe a little NBA with some of these trade deadline moves kind of to end the crazy week of trades that we had. So we're going to start with the conference championships. We're just going to talk about the losing teams, like I said. Kind of on their season and then what they look like for next year, and just kind of ramble from there. So we'll start with the first game. The Commanders, they kind of got blown out by the Eagles. I think when we even talked about this game, even though I thought the Commanders were going to be able to compete, we talked about the possibility of a blowout. So in that sense, it wasn't that much of a surprise. This is kind of what the Eagles do right now. So what do you think? Yeah, do you have any thoughts kind of on that game, if you want to throw them out there, and then the Commanders themselves
Yeah,
as well?
yeah. I mean, you're not going to win. I know we talked about it, and I guess no one else heard it, but you won't win a
Yeah.
game. Like they said, I think it was 14-12 after Jaden Daniels and company scored. I think it was to Terry McLaurin, and then after that, it was either to Terry or to somebody. I think. Yeah, because they failed the 2 point off the Terry slam before. So yeah.
Or
Uh,
was that, I mean, it doesn't matter that much, but was that the running touchdown maybe that they missed the 2 point?
no, it
Is
was
that
It was
that
when they
thing?
threw the slant to Terry and he cut across the whole field, and then the 2 point conversion was that BS trick play to Eckler out of the backfield. It was like, yeah. But Jaden Daniels didn't get to touch the ball from 14-12 all the way to 27-12, and you're not going to win playoff games fumbling the ball three plus times or three times in general. And they were
Yeah.
all terribly timed. Obviously, you're not planning on fumbling, but they were terribly timed in the span of the game. But I mean, they had like a impressive year this year. They're kind of like the Texans of last year, where they kind of shocked everybody going from worst to first. I mean, they both picked number two, and they both had rookie
Yeah.
quarterbacks, so it's kind of parallels there. But I mean, at least the
Interesting.
Commanders, they'll
Yeah.
they'll be good. They just gotta. I think keeping Ertz would be pretty cool for them because obviously Daniels and Ertz have a pretty good connection. Get a real running back, fix the O line. I mean, I think they have more holes. Oh, he just won Offensive Rookie of the Year. I just got that notification.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I forgot that was happening like right
Hey,
now.
verse, cash me out, please.
I know we need that to hit like on the pod.
Yeah.
I'll let you know if I see it.
Okay. But I think if they get a good number two wide receiver, a better running back, maybe fill out the offensive line, and then get, I would say get some pass rushers, but honestly, the pass rushers kind of got there. I think it's more so the defensive line as a whole. I like Luvu, and then they have some good corners with Lattimore and Mike Sandestrill. But
The Lattimore fit's kind of interesting because it you rarely like, speaking of like trades in the NBA, like that isn't, for whatever reason, the NFL's just never really been like that kind of a league, like where stars get traded like that. Not really.
yeah,
Like you'll see some stuff here and there, but like the Lattimore trade was pretty bizarre. And I think the reason for that is kind of self-explanatory this year because football is such a complex like game, and basketball is as well, but it's very different, and especially like the timing of the trade deadline in the NFL versus the NBA. Like I think Lattimore just wasn't really, it felt like to me, because I've always been a Lattimore believer. Like he's a very solid player. Just it didn't seem like it quite worked. It wasn't his best season with
yeah.
the Commanders. Like it was fine, but wasn't great. And so I bet he'll be a lot better, kind of having the off season and all of the training. with the Commanders, getting training camp done with them. Running through all the formations, whatever, blah blah blah. I think he'll be better next year, and I think that'll really help their defense a lot because they don't really have many strong like even the Texans, for example, like you said, like there's some very solidified guys on that defense. There's not really a solidified guy on the Commanders defense, not really, besides Lattimore. And I think you'd need a couple of those solidified guys to kind of weigh the pressure off, and Lattimore should be one of those. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that, um, come next year, how that really works out.
Yeah, just side note, if if Jared Verse loses the defensive rookie of the year thing, I probably will rage quit off the pod. I will be pissed. So
When we'll upload it still.
yeah, it'll be a solo pod.
um, yeah, that would be really tragic, but there's no way.
Knock on wood.
Um,
But there's not really much
um,
much to say other than the Commanders will be back.
yeah, for sure.
Like,
I mean, we talked about this again on the episode that never aired, which is okay. So we'll kind of be brief, but um, I mean, JD5 had the best rookie quarterback season ever after the best one happened last year, which is wild. Um, I mean, they have a bright future, and that's like a fun one. It's like it's kind of similar to the Texans, but like Green Bay, they just keep getting quarterbacks that work. You're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Meanwhile, the Commanders have really had nobody since the RG3 tragedy. So it's good for them. Got to be happy for them. They have a really solid future. They just gotta, and I think from what I heard, like at least in the middle of the season, like players want to play with Jaden. So I think they're gonna not have too much trouble like getting guys, which is a really good sign too. Just like in free agency.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, I think I'll just hit on the game real quick. I think you pretty much hit it on the money. Like you can't have like obviously turnovers happen. It's football. It's playoff football. Like the Eagles' defense is insane, but like the timing of those turnovers just really, really screwed them. Like if you have like a really bad turnover, like first drive of the game, you can kind of bounce back from it. But the later and later you get, it's like your margin of error just keeps going down. So yeah, I think they'll be back. Um, I mean, it just that game showed that like that was just two classes of teams. Like the Eagles were just roster wise, you could just tell way more built for playoff football than the Commanders were, which it is what it is. They're a young team, so I'm looking forward to kind of seeing. Like, I think they need to get. I'd love to see him get another wide receiver. I don't. It's not like the Bills who will hit on who need like a really solidified wide receiver one. We know Terry is the guy. I think they just could really use one more target because it doesn't hurt. We're in a passing football league, so the more wide receivers you have, for the most part, the better. And then, yeah, just more depth on the defense. I don't think they're that far away from being up there. It's just that was year one.
no.
Unless you got anything else, we can hit the Bills. They obviously lost the Chiefs in that.
Pat
I don't
Surtain.
want to call it a meltdown.
Pat Surtain
What do you
won
say?
Defensive Player of the Year.
Wow. Sting will be up there next year. You already know.
W.
Okay. The agenda. Um, Bills had the lead in the fourth quarter. They won the turnover battle, and they didn't win the game. I mean, it's crazy. But here we are. I mean, I can kick off this one, then pass it to you. Um, I think the Bills definitely need a wide receiver one. I think that's pretty clear to me because they really do have the pieces. Like James Cook, heck of a season. Even like the other, like Shakir, solid. Coleman, I think I do believe in him as well. I think he's going to develop. So, just getting one more really solid wide receiver, hopefully a wide receiver one, I think will open up their offense. Because even in that game, it was a lot of yeah, Josh Allen hit Hollins for like that 35-yard tutty, but other than that, it was pretty like check down esque football, which is fine. But I think in the AFC right now, you got to have that big playability, and like another wide receiver would open it up for Josh Allen to run it more against defenses like that, like KC. So, and the defense was just banged up. I mean, that's just tough luck. Like, what are you gonna do? I mean, when you're down so many guys, and really in the secondary. I mean, what's his name? Elam, Elam.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was fried, and now I mean that's just an unfortunate spot. Like, you can't blame him. Like he's not supposed to be the guy in that spot, but he was, and um, yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with Buffalo. I think the only difference between like the Commanders window and like the Bills, their situations, I shouldn't say window, is like the Commanders have JD5 on the rookie deal. They can get guys pretty easily. Like I'm sure I don't know their cap space situation off the top of my head, but
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure
think
it's
they're
pretty
number
dang good.
one.
Yeah, that's what I figured. So, and the Bills just don't have as much flexibility. Um, Obviously, when you have a great quarterback, your window is going to be open. But I don't know. I mean, next thing you know, you're paying Josh Allen with another crazy deal. In a couple years. So I don't know. I don't know how much time they're going to have, but um, they're close. The Bills are close. It was a really good year for him. Josh Allen proved me wrong in terms of turnovers, so got to give him that. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll give it to you. What do you think?
Yeah, I would say their biggest problem is just not enough ammo on defense. Like I know Benford went out that game, and then I think they were missing Taylor Rapp. I want to say, which I don't think he's very good. He's more of like a box safety if he was playing against the run. I don't really think he's a good
Yeah,
coverage safety. I've seen it with my own eyes, so I feel like I have a valid opinion on it. But
yeah,
I think if they were to go get Miles Garrett, that would be interesting. But then, like the cap situation, you said he wants an extension, so it kind of makes things a little bit more interesting. I do think they need another wide receiver, depending on if Coleman can make a jump, because he was banged up, and I don't think he got real like consistency with Josh Allen. And I don't know Amari Cooper's situation, but I'm assuming he won't be back this offseason.
yeah. I don't. I'm kind of curious. I'm gonna look it up while you keep going. I'm
Because
curious.
I mean, if they were able to get Devontae, which obviously it'd be an interdivision trade, so I don't know if that would necessarily work. But like Devontae, Coleman, and Shakir is a really good receiving core, and then having James Cook out of the backfield, and then I mean, I still think Kincaid can be good. Knox is like consistent for them, but um,
Really, really quick.
yeah,
He's a free agent, so
yeah, I'd probably let him walk unless they got him for super cheap. Um,
I wouldn't be surprised to see him stay because I think he'll probably stay with a contender at this point in his career.
he should go to
Uh,
the Commanders. They probably need some veteran receiver.
that
That'd be a nice fit.
That would be a really solid fit, actually, because they don't need the one. They just need like a solid, like reliable two. And it's not. I think they have a fine receiving core. I
Yeah,
just think it would really help them.
yeah, but at least for the Bills, I mean, their O line's good, quarterback's obviously good, running back. I honestly think it's the defense. I don't think they really got to Mahomes outside of that one. Like, I mean, I got to him a couple times, I think, but they didn't. They caused the fumble, and that was like a big play, but it wasn't like they were necessarily doing anything crazy. I mean, their linebackers aren't amazing. Milano's the number one, so then again, there's not a lot of Fred Warners to go around the league, so it's kind of hard
Yeah,
to say that. But
linebacker is kind of a weird position right now. There's not.
any like,
We're kind of
yeah,
we're kind of out of the linebacker era for the most part. It's
yeah,
like front. It's like the D line and then like secondary guys. Like they don't really. There's not many linebackers that get talked about.
yeah. But yeah, if they get the D line settled, I think that they'll be better. But I mean, I give the Bills a ton of crap because their GM was talking hella smack to the Rams about going all in and then them having a bad year the next year because they were hurt. And like, I mean, I'd take one Super Bowl over whatever the Bills are doing because they're just meddling around.
Yeah, they don't have any. I don't get that argument. I don't get slant like you. I think any fan, it's like maybe not the ones like the entitled fan bases, like I just flip those people off. But if you told me the Texans would win the Super Bowl next year and we'd be bad for the next two, I would not even hesitate.
Yeah,
I would not even hesitate. If you told me we'd go to the Super Bowl and be bad for the next two, I probably would take that. So I don't know. I mean, if you go all in and win, that's what you're supposed to do.
yeah.
So
But
I don't know.
I just think that they're too I mean, obviously going against the Chiefs, like the Chiefs are just a well-oiled machine, and I think the Bills are probably the second
Yeah.
like place team in the AFC the last 5 years to the Chiefs, and I think that they need to make something shake or do something drastic in order to top the Chiefs. And until they do like a big swing, like a Miles Garrett or I mean, I wouldn't say Devonte Adams is a huge swing at this point in his career, but like something like that, or like a Tyreek Hill, like something explosive to be like, okay, like the Bills are really like they're on one right now. So that's
It's crazy you say that, by the way, because it was supposed to be Von Miller,
yeah, which
and it just didn't. It hasn't worked at all.
yeah,
Should have
that's
stayed in
tough,
LA.
tough, tough stuff. Couldn't imagine being a
Um,
Bills fan though.
no. Yeah, I think you're pretty spot on. I do think it's just a bummer for him because, like, obviously, and we're gonna get to the Super Bowl here in a little bit, but I mean, they would have a great chance against the Eagles. Like, I think, like the Vegas spread would be right on the money. It'd be like this, pretty much the same. It would probably lean Eagles instead of lean KC slightly. It'd be like Eagles -1.5 or whatever
Yeah.
for the Vegas spread, but they would be in it
Oh,
for sure.
yeah. I'm just
Like
curious if the Bills defense would be able to hold up.
for sure. I mean, that's a concern.
Yeah, that
Yeah, that would be a concern. But yeah, I think they're close. What do you think about Sean McDermott? Do you think I do kind of wonder if they were to like move off of him, if they would actually be better off. It's easy to make that like sitting here, make that take sitting here like on a podcast, but like I don't know, it just hasn't seemed to really like work super well, and I don't think he's a bad head coach. I just don't think he's great.
I don't know. I don't think that they gave like this team isn't the most talented of Josh Allen's career. Like I'd probably go back a couple years just till the year I think the year that they lost with the 13 seconds thing.
That was probably the best.
I just say that the Bills have had more talented rosters, and so I don't know if I could necessarily blame it on McDermott just because this talent, the accumulation of talent this year has was not what it was prior. I think they like spread and got more depth this year versus focusing on getting like star players. But I think if I mean he's a good coach. I wouldn't put him in the top five. Like I'd say Andy Reid, McVay. I think Shanahan's a good coach. I know he chokes a lot, but I couldn't
I
name
still like him for
yeah I
sure.
can't
You'd
name
have
five coaches better. Um, I guess I'm blanking on what other I'm not a big Harbaugh fan of either one of them or Tomlin. I don't think any of those guys are like it.
I think Jim's doing pretty well.
The Chargers coach, no, bona
Yeah.
fide choker. It took
Well,
him
I think it's a franchise issue.
well, it took him
I
6
don't
years
know.
to win in Michigan, and then he took a loaded Niners team to the Super Bowl against Joe Flacco, and they gave up 34.
Yeah,
And
I
then
don't know.
his team just got outclassed by. I mean, the Texans were good, but like everyone thought the Chargers were going to win,
Yeah.
and they got
Yeah,
smoked.
I wasn't confident going into that game.
Yeah, yeah. You were maybe one of the, I mean, outside of the Texans fan base, I mean, I thought the Chargers were probably going to win that game. Like I was actually
Yeah.
buying Charger stock, and then they chargered. So,
No.
but I mean, McDermott's not a top five coach. I don't know if you. I mean, he's probably top 10, but I don't know if he's 7 or 6 or 5. I think he's probably 9 or 10. Like, this one's going to sting because we both hate the guy, but like, you can make an argument Sirianni's a better coach than McDermott.
Oh God, I don't know. See, the only thing with Sirianni is like I don't think I can give him better than middle of the pack, and I don't think I can give him worse because he doesn't do
Do
much, but
anything?
he is a great motivator. Yeah, but like that's why he's there, so it works.
Yeah,
That's why
it
I've
fits
like I've
them.
I've kind of dialed back on the hate because like he doesn't do any. He's like the president of a company. Like they make the big decisions, but like doesn't really actually do much. Like everything else is delegated. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? So I don't know. I'd say they're pretty even. I don't know,
yeah.
but
But
it doesn't matter.
anyways,
Um, well, let's talk Super Bowl. Um,
speaking of
I
Sirianni,
don't. Yeah, speaking of Sirianni, we got Eagles Chiefs. The Vegas spread is, I think it might even be down to 1 now,
last I checked,
so
it
it's
was
pretty
still
much
one and a
even.
half. It hasn't moved since it opened, dude, which is so weird to
Yeah,
me.
that's at 1 now.
Oh,
That's what I'm seeing.
hey now.
Okay, it's 1.5 on like a couple, but yeah, I mean we're pretty much picking a winner.
Yeah.
Um, so I'll start with you here. Um, I mean, you can hop in like straight into your pick, or I mean, yeah, talk whatever. What are you thinking?
I think the biggest. So I think it was a stat that said that since 2018 or 2019, the Chiefs haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher in the playoffs, and I think that this is going to be the game that changes it. I think
Hmm.
the goal is you just can't let Barkley break one. Like
Yeah,
if the Eagles do, like dink and dunk the ball down the field and they score after like 5 yard run, 6 yard run, 7 yard pass, 10 yard pass, 4 yard run, like you give that to them every time. But if I mean I know it firsthand, and I'm sure that oh my god, I thought I they haven't announced defensive rookie of the year yet. It just Jesus, dude. But I mean I know firsthand as a Rams fan, you can't let explosives happen against the Eagles. They lost because they gave up 3 40-yard touchdowns or 30 or 3 40+ yard touchdowns. That's not going to win you any games. And the Commanders found out real quick
yeah,
that they were
yeah.
in for a treat too. So I think if you can contain Barkley to like under 130 total yards total between rushing and receiving, and you can limit his yards per carry to under 6, which sounds pretty high, but like it's Saquon Barkley behind probably the best O line in the league.
And
Um,
it's like you're also bringing into account like the big carry with that, per carry average.
yeah, but like I think if they are able to keep everything in front of them, I mean Spagnola's as a Rams fan again, I didn't think Spagnola was like this on defense, and it pains me to see him be a D coordinator elsewhere when he was such a garbage head coach. But I guess that's just how it is. Um,
Yeah,
but I mean, I think the linebackers are going to have the game of their life. I think Bolton's going to have another great performance. Chanel, Tranquil, I think all those guys are going to have to play really well, and then obviously Chris Jones has to show up. Um, I'm not a big fan of the Eagles wide receivers. Like AJ Brown's top 7, top 5. I don't think Devontae Smith is maybe just because he doesn't get a lot of targets. I don't think Devontae Smith is as good as advertised. At
where
least
would you put him? Where would you put him?
I mean I could do
Like
like
about ballpark it. You could ballpark it. We don't need to go through, but
I mean not top 10 and not top
no.
15.
Yeah, I think he's in that 15. I think it's interesting you say that because I think I put him in like that 15-20 range.
Yeah, that's
I think
probably
he's pretty dang good.
I think he's
But
good, but I don't think I mean you never seen him as a wide receiver one.
yeah, that's fair.
So, and I mean, and I'm assuming he's going to be that they're going to have that duo for a while, but I just don't. I mean AJ Brown's better, but I mean I think Brian Thomas Jr. is better. I think Malik Neighbors is better. I think Terry McLaurin's better.
And Devontae.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think that's crazy. I don't think
like
that's crazy. Maybe we
yeah. I
halt
mean
a little
there's a
bit on the two rookies, but like I if they have solid years next year, then I'm totally on board with that. I always hesitate with rookies a little bit. I just don't want to crown them too quick.
well I would, but they had who? I mean, one of them had Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito throwing him the ball this year, mixed with a
Yeah,
little Daniel Jones. The other one had mostly Mac Jones, sprinkled with a good chunk of
Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. Which I mean, Trevor Lawrence is
Yeah,
good, but he wasn't taking off until Mac Jones was throwing him the ball. So, and everyone knew where the ball was going. Um,
yeah.
so, but like, I mean, yeah, we won't get into it, but I'm just not a big fan of Devontae Smith. I don't think he's as good as advertised. Um, but I mean, Dallas Goedert, you could rope into that same receiving core. I think that,
I like him a lot.
yeah, I think he's a top seven tight end, top borderline top five probably. I mean, at least this year he was pretty darn good. But
I feel like he's been pretty. I don't have the stats on me, but I feel like he's been pretty consistent. Like
and he's
I don't
reliable.
think it's crazy to put him, yeah, top five, like on the outside of the top five. But
Yeah, but I mean, it's cliche to say, but it's probably just going to be determined at the line of scrimmage for both teams. I also don't think the Philly defense is as good as advertised either. I think they have holes other than Zach Bond, which I think he's a scheme merchant. Sorry, but I mean Fangio helped him
that's
out
fine.
a ton. Zach Bond wasn't doing this with the Saints, and I know it's easy to say from an armchair that I'm sitting in right now, but you know,
Yeah,
it's not like he. I mean, I'm sure he showed flashes with the Saints, but I don't think anyone expected him to be a defensive player of the year candidate to start the year, let alone probably the best linebacker this season outside of Fred Warner. Um, I like Milton Williams and Jalen Carter next to each other. I don't think their edge rushers are amazing. I think it's N'Kobe Dean that's out, so it's Nolan Smith that's playing.
yeah.
I'm not a huge fan. They've taken a little bit to develop, which then again they still have developed. I know they have Jalix Hunt, Bryce Huff, and I think Brandon Graham might be playing. I'm not too sure, but like they
And
have
Jordan Davis,
Jordan
or,
Davis on the inside. Yeah,
yeah,
I I don't think like if you took Jalen Carter off the D line and it was just those guys. I mean, same thing with the Chiefs, right? If you took Chris Jones off, is George Karlaftis
it
going to
would
be?
look a lot different without Chris Jones. I think.
Yeah. So like I don't. I'm just and he was sick too, Jalen Carter at the media. He like didn't show up to the media thing,
Yeah,
so he probably was. I'm not going to make the joke. Actually, I'm gonna not going to make the joke. Um, but I think it just depends on. I'm also curious if they're going to play Tooney at left tackle. I'm pretty sure they will, and then that Calicendo or Calciendo is going to play left guard. So that'll be interesting because I wonder.
I think that is what is going to determine this game. And you said it, and it's cliche, but like, and it's really I'm not super worried about the Eagles O line. In all honesty, I don't. I'll be shocked if the Chiefs are just like all over them and like getting sacks. Like I'll be like, okay, Chiefs won. This is over, and like we'll know pretty quickly. Um, but I don't think that's really even a possibility. I think they might get a couple sacks, sure, but like I don't think they're gonna like feast on the Eagles O line. I think that's even for the Chiefs people. I think that's a pretty common opinion. But if the Eagles can't get pressure at all, it's going to be a long game for Philly. Because I think they have to. I mean, they have to be able to get pressure. That's like the staple of who they are, and that's how they beat teams. That's how they beat the Rams. That's how they beat the Commanders. That's how they beat the Packers as well. Like so, if they don't do that, and you don't get Mahomes in a little stress, then it's going to be a long day for them.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. That's why I'm curious if they would play Tooney in the middle, just because I think that the Eagles have such overpowering force on the interior as opposed to the edge. But then again, Jawan Taylor is so mid that it's painful to watch sometimes. So
Yeah,
I mean, they'll probably have. I mean, I don't watch enough Chiefs football, but I'm assuming the game plan will be to chip people coming off the edge, especially with Jawan Taylor's the right side, and then Tooney's just going to have to work an island on the left. I
Yeah.
don't think the Chiefs are going to run the ball very well, although I mean,
They haven't really been in this postseason, which has been interesting.
yeah, and not to be the salty fan, but the Rams ran the ball pretty well against the Eagles. Like they were picking up chunks. And I think that they ran the ball probably the best against. I mean, they played the best against the Eagles so far in the playoffs, but they ran the ball really well against them. So that's something to look out for. And they were eight. I mean, they got like 6 or 7 sacks on the Eagles, which is pretty absurd to say when the.
That's a good point.
So like,
That's a good point.
there's no player on the. I mean, Chris Jones is better than Jared Verse. I can like say that, but like outside of Chris Jones, I don't think Karlaftis or Omenahue is better than Verse. And I think that the surrounding company of the Rams is probably a smidge better. But if Spagnola, I mean, depending on what the blitzes are, I mean, they're going to look like uh, just like something we've never seen before. That's just how he Spags does it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm assuming there's going to be pressure coming from either, I don't know if Chanel, I think Tranquil's the number two behind Bolton. So I'm assuming Tranquil would be the guy that's being sent on blitzes. But I mean, they send blitzes from the secondary, they send blitzes from damn near off the field, they'd send blitzes from Kansas City itself. So, I,
Yeah.
yeah, like,
It's pretty insane when you really watch it. It's pretty insane.
so I think if
Yeah.
you get pressure on Hurts, you win the game.
Yeah. Yes. I totally agree. If we see early that they're able to get pressure, I think it could be ugly really quick. Um, I just in terms of like how likely that is, I just don't know. That's what I can't figure out. So I think the other thing that people aren't really talking about too much with this game, and honestly, it's been a super busy week. Usually, I'm super locked in on like the what people are saying and everything, but I just haven't been. So, hoping to do a little bit of that tonight. But these teams are actually familiar with each other more than people realize. They played in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and then they played last year in Kansas City, and the Eagles took that one, which was wild. Sirianni was like, take that, Chiefs fans running out, which is, crazy, whatever. um, but yeah, the Eagles won that game, and I was looking at the stats, and now we got to be fair, right? Like, this is the team last year that didn't really have the receiving core, whatever, but they won 21-17, and they had only 238 yards of offense and a turnover. And the Chiefs had 336 with two turnovers. So I guess the only reason I'm bringing that up is because they gave up 300. The Eagles gave up 336 yards, but they were able to get a couple turnovers, and they held the Chiefs to 17 points. So I think that's kind of their blueprint, and I think that's what the Bills were trying to do. Now it didn't work super well, but I think with the loaded defense like the Eagles have, I think it can. Um, like the Chiefs have had red zone problems, and you don't want to like. I mean, again, it's the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Like they've been here, obviously 3 years in a row now. Um, and they have Andy Reid and Mahomes. Like, you're sure they can figure it out, but at the same time, it's definitely something to look out for. Like, if they kind of just play passive and then test them in the red zone and see how they do, I don't hate that strategy from Philly. Um, but yeah, I really just wanted to hit on that familiarity kind of take. Do you think that that's going to play a role at all?
Um, I think a little bit, but also, I mean, Eagles have Saquon, and Eagles didn't have Fangio last year. That was right before, or not right before, but like it was close to when the Eagles started collapsing after the Niners put the belt on them. Um,
Yeah.
like it was, I think it was like October, November, so it was only a few games out from when Niners walked them down.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll be a huge factor. I mean, it's definitely obviously the most recent time they've played. I just think that with Fangio and Spagnuolo, you don't know what to expect necessarily, and I think it's just going to be, I think it's going to be a close game. Um, I could see a
Yeah,
world in
we can
which,
get to that. What's your prediction? Who do you think's going to win? What do you think it looks like? You can even give us a score.
yeah, I mean, it's hard to bet against Mahomes. I think if mm, I think if the Chiefs go up by any point by two scores, that's the game. I think if
Hmm.
the Eagles were to go up by two scores, there's still a good chance the Chiefs could come
For
back,
sure.
depending on how much time is left. I think if the game's close, you have to give the edge to the Chiefs, only because like if it's 2 minutes or Eagles are down by a touchdown and they need to get down 80 yards down the field, I don't think, at least me, I wouldn't pick Hurts over Mahomes to get myself down the field, especially if I had like no timeouts to execute a 2 minute drill. Because I think a good chunk of their offense is based around Saquon, and rightfully so. He's the best probably player on their team this season.
Yeah.
Um, but gosh, I don't know. Mm, I mean, I personally would like to see the Chiefs win just because I have money on them. Um, but but mm, I don't know. I'd say it could go either way. I'd say the Chiefs probably win. I don't want to commit to something because I don't want to jinx anything. Knock on wood.
You got to commit, man. This is it. Let me give you mine first.
Well, I know who you're gonna pick, so I'll pick my people. I think it's gonna be Chiefs, and I think the first team to get to 24 will win. Or if I mean, I'd
Interesting.
be surprised if neither team gets to 24. Obviously, the team with more points is going to win the game, but I think that whichever team gets to 24 first is who I think will win, and I think it's going to be the Chiefs. So,
Yeah, I mean it's obviously not a bad take. Um, I I'm pretty confident in the Eagles, and trust me, there's a lot of factors for me in this game. I hate Philly. I do not want to be saying I think Philly is going to win right now. Like I told my pick to some of my friends last night, and they were like, "Damn, like you're hedging your bet, like whatever." Just to be clear, I doubled down with my Chiefs future last year in that Super Bowl when I was with you. Like I took the Chiefs again, so I'm not here to hedge. I think the Eagles are going to take it. I've got 27-20 um, Eagles. I think I just it's the breakaway Saquon runs, man. It happens to everybody, and I don't think the Chiefs are going to be able to avoid that in the second half. Um, I think, and the Eagles were just here 2 years ago. Jalen Hurts had the game of. I'm not saying he's going to have the game of his life again. I don't know if that's realistic, but do I think he can? Well, for sure, because he's done it. Like he totally can.
yeah,
Um, I think I just I don't trust. I think the reason that I'm because I never go against Mahomes, and the one time I did was that Tampa Super Bowl, and I was right. And I'm kind of rambling, going all over the place, but I think I'm calling 27-20. That's my prediction. But I'm not going to be shocked if we see like an ugly one. Um, and that's just because I think that the Eagles front seven is really going to show up. And I know the Chiefs O line isn't like it was in that Tampa Super Bowl. They're a little more healthy, but I still am not super like bought in. Like the Texans front seven gave them literal hell in that game. Um, I mean, the Chiefs struggled offensively. Like obviously they won the game, and it was really because like the Texans could not move the ball, and got to give the Chiefs credit on the win, but they really struggled to move the ball, and I think the Eagles are built a lot like that Texans defense is. Um, and so yeah, I just would not be. I think the Chiefs are going to be able to score 20, but I just don't know how much past that they're going to get. And I think the Eagles have proven that they can move the ball, and Hurts has proved that he can shine in this moment. And so I'm pretty confident. I'm thinking we're going to see I think we'll see a Mahomes turnover. Um, I don't know if I'm committed to saying the Eagles are going to win the turnover battle. I would not be shocked to see a Jalen Hurts pick, but I definitely think Mahomes is going to throw one. Um, and I think you could see. I, okay, that's what I was going to get into. So the Chiefs' offense to me, they have guys, but it just like even last year, it kind of was clicking with a couple of the guys, a couple of the receivers. Like I can't remember specifically,
Marquez
but like
Valdez Scantling.
yeah, Scantling had a couple of really big plays. Like even though like that Baltimore game was pretty ugly, like I don't know, it just this offense feels a little broken to me. The run, just because the run game is a little hit or miss. Like it's very Bills like right now, which don't I don't buy into. It's like Mahomes has been having to play Superman, which he's the best. He totally can. But I think in a Super Bowl against a defense like this, I can't go with the guy that has to play Superman. I can't. I think the Eagles have too much talent. They've obviously got Fangio in there, like you were saying. I don't think that is a slight hurdle for Mahomes to overcome in this spot. And
That's
I don't
fair.
think they're going to have an answer for Saquon specifically in the second half. I think it's kind of like that anaconda effect, the boa constrictor, where it's like, you just tire him out in that first half and then he gets going in the second half and there's not much you can do. And I think Saquon will be pretty fired up and locked in as he needs to be. And I mean, I think most of the guys will be, but Saquon being, first playoff run or first, I guess he was there with the Giants. I don't even know if he was playing though
They
in
put
that Vikings game.
Yeah, he
Was
did. They
he did? Okay, so
Yeah.
it's his second playoff run then, but still.
That funny
Um,
enough,
first,
the team that took him out was the Eagles.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Um, so all that to say, I feel pretty confident. 27-20. Eagles take it. I think you see a Mahomes pick.
Jared Verse.
He got it.
Yeah.
Let's go. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much more to say other than that.
Can't bet
I
against
guess
the
things to
boogeyman.
look out, other things to maybe look out for, like bets wise. I think, um, yeah, I mean, I like a Mahomes pick. Um, I think Saquon will go over on his rushing yards. I think it's set at like 115 or something like that. I think he'll go over that. Um, I just like even like if you look at like the line, like the Vegas lines for like Hollywood Brown and D Hop, like if they were a little more involved, I would feel differently about the Chiefs. But it's like Kelsey and then like a little bit of Worthy, and that's kind of it for the Chiefs. And I just don't feel confident in that.
Yeah, Juju Smith-Schuster Super Bowl MVP, book it. Um,
That'd be pretty nuts.
I I just the like I agree. Eagles are more talented. Eagles should win the game. Saquon should go nuts. Saquon should win Super Bowl MVP. But like, I mean, you're the one who told me, and I've stuck with this rule that you can't bet against Mahomes. But the other thing too is that with the opportunity to make history and to cement himself as the only team to three-peat since like the 1921 Packers,
Yeah,
like which
before the Super Bowl era. Yeah.
yeah, like I mean, it's something Brady never did, and I'm sure Mahomes has thought about that the whole year. Like he can really make a case to be the GOAT by doing this. And obviously, I mean, it's a team sport, but he's
Yeah.
spearheading the whole operation, and so I just have a hard time. I mean, knock on wood, and I don't know, but I would bet on Superman only because that's, I mean, he's Superman, and he's the
Yeah.
only Superman on the field. As good as Saquon is, I think value wise, Mahomes just brings more. Because
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
but
Mahomes is the most valuable player in the game. Like,
yeah,
listen, my take goes out the window really quick if like M or not MVS, sorry, Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown, if he starts to get open and D Hop starts getting open and he's hitting him like that, goes against what I've seen and what I think is going to happen. And if that Superman shows up, then like the Chiefs might win by 20.
Yeah.
I don't think you can start feeding those guys in the last game of the year. And so
I mean, they're vets,
I don't.
and I mean, not like they've been to the Super Bowl before, but they've played in big situations. I mean, coupled with Kelsey, I mean, they have a lot of experience, I think, and
Yeah.
the matchup for them is going up against a lot of inexperience with Mitchell, DeJean, and then Blankenship. So,
Yeah, that's not a bad take.
but yeah, I just Mahomes being denied the three-peat. They should just let him win this one because he's going to come back next year just pissed if he loses this.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, if the Eagles win, it's like instant Chiefs bet
yeah,
for Super Bowl.
Mahomes MVP next year, Chiefs Super Bowl. I'm slamming the house on it.
Yeah,
So,
CJ Stroud MVP probably too, but
co MVP.
um, yeah, I think. I mean, it's going to be a great one. Um, we've been blessed with some great Super Bowls the last like 10 years. I think this is going to be another great one. I was listening to Yes Sir. Shout out Cup, future
RIP.
Texan. Um, like in the 80s and like 90s and like that 49ers era, there were a lot of blowout Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And we've had pretty great ones. And I think this one's going to be great. Um, so it'll be fun. I just, I just follow my gut here, man. I don't go against Mahomes. But the one time I did in the Super Bowl, I was right. And it matches up very similarly, besides the fact that it's Jalen Hurts, not Tom Brady, which is fair. But Tom Brady didn't have to do much
And
to win that
Mahomes,
game.
Mahomes' O line is healthy though.
It is, but there's still like like not revolving doors, obviously, because they're solid. But like they're still moving guys around, and I don't know. I just think the Eagles front seven's going to show up.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else to talk about in this game. I mean,
What color is the Gatorade that's being dumped on the?
purple,
Yeah.
purple bucket. um, yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's really sad that I always like love and hate this time of the year because like football's gonna be out the door now, which is awful. It's like a stab to the heart. We're gonna have after this game, we'll have no football for what we got: March, April, May,
6 months,
June,
7 months.
July. Oh that's a lot.
Excited about the draft though.
Yep, yep, it's gonna be fun. Um, well, I don't have much else unless you do. We'll probably just save NBA. I think, right? I mean, unless you want to hit on something really quick.
Only thing,
Um,
I mean, we can talk about it in another episode. I'll just say right now, just so that we have it on record. Jimmy
yeah,
Butler to the
sure.
Warriors makes them worse. That's my opinion. Um,
It's just if they make the playoffs, I think it's a very scary team because we've seen playoff Jimmy. I don't know, man. I'm just we know what playoff Jimmy can do. Like I just remember that year that like playoff Jimmy really started. Like they had no chance in that series, and then he just starts going like different, man. I don't know.
the, the funny thing is that they're not even in the playoffs right now. I don't even know if they're in the
No, I know.
play-in.
So that's why I'm saying that if they make it.
Yeah, I, they'd be scary for like a OKC, but I still think OKC would beat them. My second take though is that I just wish that the Spurs. I know that you can't really waste years of Wembanyama, but I just feel like they should have just stuck where they were. I mean, they didn't give up much for Fox. Like they gave up a first, I think. That was just like
I kind of like the Fox. I like Fox, so I don't know.
I do, but
It's weird because they have CP3, but
yeah. But I mean, he won't be back next year. I just think, especially since they own their own first this year, I think you could have just let this core kind of do whatever, and if they made a play-in spot, then so be it. But they probably weren't without Fox, and so I think there is value there by just letting this team ride, and then using your draft pick as an asset to get someone. 'Cause, I mean, I know that the Kings wanted to get rid of Fox, but hypothetically, the Spurs could have just waited and then been like, okay, in the offseason, we'll trade for
Yeah.
Fox, and then we'll use our fourth pick to subsequently go trade for somebody else, and then they'd have Wembanyama for 3 more years alongside Fox, Castle, Vassell, Johnson, all those guys. So and Sohan, I didn't even mention Sohan. So
Yeah.
I I just think that they could have did a different route, but again, they'll probably make the playoffs, and they're going to be watching Victor Wembanyama in the playoffs is going to be so fun.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because the Lakers got Luka Doncic.
On. Come on.
Mark Williams' best trade deadline trade of all time? Question mark. The answer is yes.
Yeah, that really worked out. And I don't know, because I'm kind like I'm not my like NBA situation. I don't really care that much, so I kind of just like root for players, root for a couple teams. I root for the Hornets, dude. Why? I don't know why they did that. Like it's massive W for Lake Show and like LeBron, but like
They're
the
setting up,
Hornets just keep doing stuff where you're like, I just want LaMelo out of there so bad.
dude. They're setting up the pipeline for the trade later on. They're going to have 2 firsts for LaMelo and Rui Hachimura. LaMelo and Luka.
I need. Oh my god, that'd be crazy.
It's
I need
happening.
it.
Trust. That's the guy that they're going to
Need
get
it.
after LeBron.
I would love it.
Another 6'7",
I think he
6'8"
can
wing.
play winning basketball. I think he can, but he's in Charlotte, so he just doesn't care. But he's a winner, man. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
bought in. So we'll see.
Yeah.
He's a long enough guard. He can defend when he wants to. Like he's a heck of a passer. Like the shooting, he's not very efficient, but I think that can change if he's on like a solid team. That's
Yeah.
so we'll see.
Lakers are going to
But
get
Super
Asar
Bowl,
Thompson this offseason.
maybe that'd
Perfect.
be your dream, Loki.
Perfect wing to put.
Your world would be lining up if that happened.
Yeah, I mean the Luka, my goat now. I wanted Mark Williams. I think we talked about it last episode. We wanted Mark
No, we
Williams. I would like Amon Thompson more, but Asar would be the perfect
Yeah, it's
complement.
not happening.
Yeah,
H-Town, baby.
Asar would be the perfect complement to Luka, and then they have Vando, DFS, Cinema.
I like what they're building. Hey, be on the lookout for Vando. If you don't already know, we're the Vando merchants, so it's always lockdown around here.
Vandalorian.
Vandalorian, just so you know, he's the best defender in the league, and he's back. So you better lock in. You better lock in. See what he does tonight against Curry.
Kerfeet.
Yeah, he's cooked. So, thank you guys if you made it to the end. Appreciate it. As always, we got the socials down below. If there's something you want to hear, let us know down below in the comments as well. Then yeah, it's going to be fun. We're going to figure out content without the NFL season. I think with all these trades, I think we're both very locked into the NBA. So it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun.
Baseball too.
Baseball too. Baseball's coming very soon, about a month and a half. Let's go. That's going to be exciting. I can't wait. Baseball is what I'm excited for.
Yeah.
That's going to be insane. So appreciate you guys. Huddle out. Peace.
Peace.